Hello. We are now going to go into chapters 13, 14, and 15 of 1 Kings. I hope you're enjoying the readings. This is where we're going to start seeing in Kings the up and downs of the kings of Judah and the pretty much continual downs of the kings of Israel. So in chapters 13, if you remember, Jeroboam has set up high places. He's set up the golden calves for them to worship. And the Lord doesn't care for that because, the Lord had made a prophecy. We saw that earlier. He told them that if you would follow him, then he would make him a lifelong dynasty. But like most of us, we can't believe those future promises because we're so concerned with what the present holds. And so he had decided himself that to try to follow the Lord would mean going to the temple in Jerusalem, and the kingdom would come away from him. He didn't trust the Lord. And so the Lord sends a man to him, and this is a very interesting passage in chapter 13. He sends a prophet to him, and he preaches against one of these altars. And he says, this altar, your family's bones are going to burn on this altar. This altar is going to be torn down. It's going to be destroyed. He's basically saying, God told you he'd take care of you, and you're not following the plan. And that's going to happen. So Jeroboam, I get them backwards all the time. No, Jeroboam asked him to come to his house and eat with him, and the man of God says, no, I'm not going to do that. There's nothing. You could give me half of your kingdom, all of your kingdom, and I'm not going to come and break bread with you. So he goes on his way home. And there's this very strange story in that same chapter about an old prophet who tells his kids, he heard about him, he says, go bring him back here, find him. And he finds him, and the old prophet goes, and he says, I too am a prophet, and I've been told by God for you to come to me. This is one of those strange stories. We see it all throughout Scripture where people know what God has told them to do, and they let someone else change their mind about what that means. And so he goes back and he eats even though he's been told not to eat. And ultimately when he leaves, he's killed by a lion. And he's standing there. The lion is not eating him. He's killed him. He's on the side of the road. There's a lion standing there, and there's a donkey standing there. And to be honest, I don't know what that means. I have not had a chance to study it in any great depth, and it is not something that's just obvious to me, other than to say that how many times in Scripture do we see someone have a clear message from God, and yet for some reason, usually either their own ideas or someone else's, they turn and choose to go the other direction. Then we get to 14, and we have Jeroboam has a son, and his son is near death, and he sends his wife in disguise to go see the prophet that had originally told him that God was going to take the kingdom away from Solomon. And so he says, go find out from him. And he gets there, and the prophet basically says, your son's going to die. And he elaborates on that. He says, Jeroboam, everybody in your family is going to die. There will be no kings. God has said, if you'll follow me, you'll have a kingdom forever. You have not followed me. You're not even going to pass on to a single heir. And so that's kind of a tough prophecy. He comes back, and Abijah becomes king of Judah. So after Rehoboam dies, now chapter 15 gets things a little in and out. You got to realize that this is not in chronological order. So you're going to hear about Abijah, and then Asa, and Asa dealing with, the names give me too, Baasha, king of Israel. And then we find out about Nadab being the king of Israel. And we're just out of sequence. Nadab is the son of Jeroboam. And Baasha and Nadab fight in Israel, and Baasha kills Nadab and all of Jeroboam's descendants, which is the prophecy that was given against Jeroboam just in the previous chapter. And so that's all fulfilled by the end of chapter 15. And then so we have now gone through a couple of kings in Judah. Most of them are bad. One king, Asa, is good. All the kings of Israel are bad. They all fall in the line of their quote father, not necessarily ancestor, but quote father, Jeroboam, and doing evil in the sight of the Lord. Sorry for the confusion. It's a little confusing when you read it, but well worth paying attention to. Hope you enjoy. Talk to you again tomorrow.